Yeah, Bang Bang Rail. Years ago, I was over a place called Epsom Downs with a mate of mine and bumped into a guy that I hadn't seen for years, man. Honestly, this guy is like ancient, you know what I mean? He's a proper gangster. Used to knock about with Joe Pyle, yeah? I see him once with Joe Pyle, with Roy Shaw and all that, yeah? And it's like a proper old gangster. His name's Arthur Suttie, yeah? Arthur lived in a place called Larkhall in Epsom Downs, yeah? His place was like unbelievable. It was massive, yeah? You go through these big electric gates, big wooden electric gates, and you go in and he lives up this like a big hill, yeah? The top of the hill is his house and a swimming pool. Down the bottom are all stables and horses and all other sorts of animals are down there. And there's another swimming pool down there, and there's a house, a sort of an outhouse, a big outhouse down the bottom, yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. And I met Arthur Suttie as a mate, you know, as a mate as you do, and I got to talk to him. And as I say, I used to work with Joe Pyle, and we was talking about when he was over in India. He got involved with this big ruby thing. Is it rubies? The money out there, rupees. He got involved with a big rupees swindle out there, and mate, he had millions, maybe billions of rupees, yeah, but all with string going through the money. It's crazy, yeah, big all string going through the money because just to rip it off, yeah, it's mad. That's how much they think about their money, yeah. It's just rip it off the string, and he was involved in a big swindle, and I think I'm not quite sure if he got nicked for it. He's dead now, you know. Like Arthur must be what, at least, I don't know if he's still alive. He must be 98, seen 100, but he might be. Yeah, I should imagine he's dead. Yeah, I've not heard nothing from Arthur over the years. I mean, this is when I was in Kingston. That was like years and years ago, in the early 90s. Like 94, 93, 94. I mean, Arthur, I mean, what's it now? He's 70 odd again. So, yeah, in his, I went to his place. It took me to his house, and his house is stunning. Yeah, it's stunning. He's got, as you walk in there, he must have 100 antiques, pots, vases, mirrors, silver pictures, and the stuff he's got, yeah. And I'm walking around there and knowing every pot, cup, saucer, plate, plates, everything is all being smashed, yeah. And it's all been stuck together. And he was telling me that him and his wife used to have rows, and she used to throw them all around the place, yeah. And she smashed up everything nearly, yeah. But he had some really valuables in big glass cabinets, yeah. Unbelievable stuff he had. Yeah, nice guy. Had a lovely daughter. Anyway, Arthur used to come around my house in Kingston. Got to know Arthur really well. He used to talk to me about Joe Pyle, Roy Shaw. He said that Roy Shaw used to come round his place and go for a run around the Epsom Downs and all that, yeah. He said, yeah, Roy Shaw's a nice guy. And I don't think, at that time, I was doing a lot? I'm not quite sure if I had stopped. Yeah, I'd stopped 90s, I stopped the unlicensed fighting, but I was talking about Roy Shaw and all that, yeah. And he said, who are you, what are you? And I showed him a couple of posters that I had. I had some really good posters, yeah. And I can't find them, you know, when you move house and this, that and the other. You don't take this, you don't take that, or you rip this up. And I must have left it there, or it was in the son's room. I can't remember yet, it's all gone now. But I had some really good posters. And Arthur used to tell me about old times with Joe Pyle. I used to work with Joe Pyle. Joe Pyle Senior, not Junior, Senior. Him and Joe Pyle, very close. So you can see, I mean, Joe Pyle was a proper gangster, yeah, proper gangster enforcer, a very dangerous man, yeah. So you can imagine what Arthur was like. Arthur was in the same category as him, yeah. Sorry, being dressed like this, but I'm going to the gym after anyway. So I'm getting there. The old gym. I'm loving it now. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Arthur. I used to know a guy called Ben the Jimmy, who I met in prison. He was the one doing the arms deal. He got a lot of bird. I was down Kensington High Street, and I popped into right at the beginning of Kensington High Street, through Hammersmith. It's on the left hand side. There's a Hilton Hotel. The Hilton. It's next door to a Bristol Cars. Yeah, and I went into the hotel just to get a room for a couple of nights. I had a girl and this, that and the other. I thought I'll get a room for a couple of nights, this, that and the other, have a laugh, you know. And I'm going down the escalator. They've got escalator there. Going down the escalator. Who's coming up? Ben the Jimmy. I went, crikey, man. All right, Ben, how you going, mate? He went, comes to go have a chat in his language, yeah, in his like very funny old English language, you know. Come up and have a cup of tea with me, mate, ain't it? All that, you know, I don't know. So anyway, come up and go up and have a cup of tea and sit down. What are you doing? I said, well, you know, I've keep my nose pretty clean, doing bits here, bits there, mate. I said, what are you up to, Ben? He went, I've got a good bit of business going, mate. Come. He said, come with me after. He said, look, opposite Olympia, I think it was Olympia, he had a big office above a shop, above his shop, yeah. And I went there, the office was really done plush, really nice, everything was brand new, you know, and he's sitting there. I said, look, yeah, I'm doing this business, that business, and what, are you interested? I said, look, one thing, I haven't got the money. I had the money, I didn't tell him I've got money. I said, one thing, I ain't got the money to get involved with this, but I know someone who might. And it was a guy called Jimmy Ward. I mean, you all heard of Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward became a supergrass, and become a supergrass that there is a thing in my book, there's a thing on my YouTube about that he wanted to get some people to kill me, yeah? He put money on my head and it was 25 grand. Anyway, Jimmy Ward, me and him were mates, were good pals, you know. I lived in his flat, yeah? I lived in his flat and I give him a lot. Anyway, so I introduced Jimmy Ward to Ben and Jimmy. They was getting on really, really well, but behind my back, they was doing a bit of business, yeah? And the bit of business they done was quite together. They had these big freezer motors, massive big freezer motors with big tanks on them, yeah? So like water tanks, these big water tanks to keep the things fresh and this, that and the other. I don't know what it was, you know, big, massive big tanks. And what they'd done, when they went over to his country, drove over with fruit, vegetables, all different sorts. They went out and drove over with things like clothes and bits and pieces like that, things that they want in their country, yeah, like trainers and all them sort of things, different things. So but it was a refrigerated lorry, you know. So when you go on the thing, you go to a weigh bridge or whatever it is, how much it weighs, say it weighs 10 ton, yeah. And you've got the gross weight and net weight, and then they come back with X amount of gear and the weight for the water and this, that, and anyway. So what he used to do was go over to his country, fill the water tank, let all the water out of the water tank, and fill the water tank up with drugs. Fantastic idea, mate. So good. I mean, and they was coming across that channel through the Way Bridge, bits and pieces, was so much gear, it's unbelievable. I didn't know, it was all beyond my back, and I didn't know nothing about it. There was only good money, yeah, really good money. And when eventually I got to hear about it, what was going on, me and Jimmy Ward had a big row. I was going to just smash him to pieces, yeah. But I think a lot of it really is the way he wanted to kill me over the flat, the monies I'll give him, other things he earned. I mean, the amount of things that I got involved with him was unbelievable, and yet he wants to stab me in the back for something so trivial. You know what I mean? Not trivial, but them two done it together, very slippery. Ben was very slippery anyway, yeah? Ben Najumi, we got involved with a big arms deal years ago with the Arifs, and I think Ben Najumi got 20 odd years or something like that, I'm not quite sure. And, you know, it's an arms deal to Iraq or Iran, where Ben comes from. Ben was a chief the prosecutor in Iraq or Iran, yeah, the chief one. And he got pictures in his cell of his wife, and she was like, the top, is it called like a crown on her head and bits and pieces. She was like really pretty, really beautiful woman, yeah. And Ben, you know, Ben obviously she divorced Ben because Ben got big bird. And when Ben come out, obviously I see him, and then he take me all down the city, big places, big houses, meeting people, very important people who've got minders and all this, that and the other. I was a big lump myself. I was with Ben, so I looked like his bodyguard as such, yeah. But when we become really close, and I introduced him to the gym, and them two got together about doing this drugs thing, what happened, it come on top for Ben. It come on top of Ben in a way, because he disappeared. He disappeared for about, 4 or 5 weeks, and Jimmy Wall said to me, have you seen Ben? And I said, no, mate, why? What's the big problem? He said, no, I'm just like, I'd like to, I want to see him. There's something I want to talk to him about. What's going on, mate? And then all of a sudden, it's come out, isn't it? I went, do what? It's come out. It's come out about what he'd been doing. And he went, yeah, but, you know, you owe me X amount of money in the flat. I said, look, I've paid you 100 grand, mate, for this flat. And it was like, when I got it, it was derelict. And I've done it up really nice. I spent a fortune on this place, the loft, everything. I've done it, everything, yeah. I said, nah. I said, you know, now you're trying to go beyond my back, you know. I said, I've done so many things to you, Jim. It's don't bear thinking about. And anyway, then he told me what Ben did. He said, oh, Ben owes me X amount of money. So anyway, eventually, them two was real bad loggerheads. And I took Ben, he asked me something, do you know anybody who do this and do that? I took him up to see Suttie. Took Ben over to see Suttie. And when Ben went through these big gates, you can imagine the surprise when he went through it and see what was there. His little head was like money signs, you know, pound signs. And anyway, went in the house, sat down for dinner, had a beautiful dinner, and Ben kept looking at Arthur Suttie's daughter, and she was quite a big girl, you know, quite big, but very attractive, yeah, very, very attractive, and horsey. She was a very horsey woman. There's all horses downstairs in the stables at the back. And she was very horsey, yeah. She's always on the horses driving about and feeding the horses, doing that, and with the other girls. There was about 8 girls down there looking after these horses there. They had loads of them. So Ben, behind my back again, it wasn't, well, it ain't behind my back. He can do what he wants to do, like as far as that's concerned with Arthur Suttie's daughter. He got involved with Arthur Suttie's daughter, taking her to dinner, taking her here, there, everywhere, taking her. Ben used to go like ballet, opera and all that game, and she liked all that sort of thing. Even though she was a big woman, she loved ballet and she loved opera. She wasn't always that big. She was like, you know, horsey women get big back size, don't they? You know, she was that big in that way, not big in, like, you know, and Ben used to take opera and all that, and he got involved with her, and then they got engaged. You know, and he thought to myself, he's so slippery, Ben. He's so slippery. But I don't know, they might have been banging love, I don't know. Or she might have been banging love, but Ben wasn't. He was just thinking about the pound notes, yeah. And anyway, they eventually had a massive engagement party. Massive. And I was sitting there, eating my dinner. They had servants to come in, dishing out all the food and all that. I don't know if Joe Pyle was there. I know, no, he wasn't there. No, I know Joe Pyle said he wasn't there anyway, but his son, no, anyway. So I'm there, but there's also a couple of big guys from Wales there. They're like special forces guys, but they're there with Arthur. What Arthur's doing, I don't know. It's not my business. But they're there, and they ain't saying anything. All they're doing is looking and all that. You feel a bit intimidated by the way they are. You know what I mean? And anyway, so I'm sitting by the opposite his window, and I remember what was telling me that in the bottom of where he lives, right, it's a massive, great big bit. It's a farm, really, but it's massive. Swimming pools, it's massive. He said, yeah, down the bottom where the horses are, we've got a house, big outhouse out down the bottom, and there's an old boy that lives there. He's very, very dangerous, old boy. He's been there for years, got long grey hair, very, very ugly, you know what I mean? But he's very dangerous, but I put him there. He's my friend, he's my wife's friend, my daughter's friend. He looks, at night time, he walks around the place, and it's just a bit frightening. So I'm sitting there, Arthur's wife's in the kitchen, doing other bits and pieces, whatever she's doing. We've eating our food, so there's the sweet's got to come out and all this that and the other bit. There's all servants and everything there, right? So I'm sitting there, and they've got these big, massive, great big windows, like doors, yeah, massive, like, but not patio doors, but big, massive glass doors, yeah, sort of like. All of a sudden, something went by the doors, and I went, wow. I didn't say nothing. All of a sudden, it come back in. I went, what the fucking hell is that? I thought, fucking hell, wow. Like you're thinking, what is it? What is it? And crank, whoop, it went again. I said, and all of a sudden I looked at Arthur and I said, Arthur, you might think it's a bit mad, but I'm sitting here and I'd see this shadow or white thing flash by the window. He went, oh, don't worry about it, that's the guy living downstairs in that outhouse, that house at the bottom. He's just, being nosy. He's run by the window. You won't really see him as such. And boy, all of a sudden I looked and there's a big face, it freaked the life out of me, mate. It was like a horror film, yes, I swear. I went, the old heart was going, I thought, oh, it's pitch black. I went, fucking hell. I said, and anyway, he said, yeah, the guy's very ugly, but really dangerous old boy. He just walks around the farm. He loves me, he loves my wife, the kid, and my daughter. He loves everybody, but he's a mad old boy. Just runs around the house runs around the property looking for whatever, yeah. So this is quite late now. I've been there, it's about, 1 o'clock in the morning. His wife's not come in yet. She's still in the kitchen. We've had our sweets and bits and pieces. And my girl, Danny, she said, look, I've got to go home. I want to go home now. She got a babysitter and she loves her kids. So she said, I want to go and see the kids. So I said, okay. She walked down, I walked down. We've got 2 cars. She's come in her car, come in my car just in case. You never know what might happen. We come in 2 cars. She gets in the car, goes to the gate. The gate's got this automatic thing, boom, it opens up from the inside, but on the other side, obviously, you can't eat, it's got to be released, yeah? But from the inside, you go boom. So as I drove by, the gates opened up, crash. As I went to get in my car, I got a Jeep, Laredo Jeep. As I went to get in it, I swear, something come running down this hill, because Arthur lived in the hill, and this thing was supposed to be the old man. Right, and it had a white, mate, it was so frightening. I nearly had a heart attack. Nearly shit myself. He come down with a great big carving knife, yeah? But this knife, he come down, it was a rubber knife, but a big rubber knife. And listen, big guy, I screamed, ah! Couldn't believe it, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, it's Arthur's wife. She's got one of these big things over her head, like they get out of the theatre, like an ugly big white face. And as he got near me, went to stab me. I'm going like that, and it's an old boy. I don't want to punch him. I should have done, but it's an old boy, isn't it? So it's got this rubber, and all of a sudden everyone started laughing. Arthur started laughing. All the people started laughing, and then I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? I freaked the life out of me. Anyway, I went, and when I got home, I told Danny. She laughed, and anyway, and so. And then Jimmy Ward and Arthur, they were still seeing each other, doing things, but they wasn't doing that no more. They were doing other things. So I was getting involved with other things, and I was getting my bits of money. But Arthur, proper gangster. It was a guy that didn't say a lot. And didn't have to say a lot. He was quite slim guy, glasses, but nice man who was a money getter. I mean, the property that he had then, I should imagine, was 7 mil, 8 mil, right on Epsom Downs, right backs on to Epsom Racecourse. So you can imagine. I mean, come on, what sort of money that is worth, yeah. And you go down this private road, and this place on the big gates, and it's really just out of this world. And then everything started going a bit ping tong. I was going down to see Ben at his offices, and he was never there. And then he spent lots of money on his teeth. And it comes to a lot of money at that time. You know what I mean? In the 90s, was it 90s? Yeah, the 90s. It comes to a lot of money then. Yeah, so he was taking the piss. He was nicking Jim's money, and Jim was getting the right up of it. You know what I mean? And I think that's why Arthur Suttie had these two special forces guy come down from Wales to look after Ben, because Ben was living in Arthur Suttie's house. Obviously, Ben was such a good con man, he was telling Arthur Suttie about what was going on, yeah, but not telling the actual truth. So Arthur Suttie, being the man he is, got this guy from Wales, these two special forces guys, to come down and make sure that Ben was okay. And then Ben started flying around with these two guys in a big limousine, a big black limo. Ben was earning lots of money, and you could see that Jim really was really pissed off of it, you know what I mean? He had to write up about it, because he wasn't being put in on a swindle, or nor was I, but I didn't really, their thing was their thing. I was doing other things anyway, so I was with a big company, so I didn't want to get involved with that shit, yeah? So, all of a sudden, he comes around my house, Ben, and he's causing problems, big problems. And I thought, oh dear, it's going to kick off one day. It's going to kick off with him and Jim. I know it's going to kick off, You got Jim coming down with a cut these people that come to kill me, but I didn't know at that time, He's coming down to my place all the time. And Arthur would come over to my place, and they'd be sitting in my kitchen talking and doing deals and all that. I wasn't really getting involved in it. That's their thing, yeah. I'd get a few bob anyway, yeah. So all of a sudden, Jim and Ben really kicked off, and he got these two special forces guys. Didn't say nothing, just told the guy to sit down, Jim, and they sat down, and Jim was pissed off. And his other guys wanted to go with Jim. Anyway, about 5 weeks later, got a phone call from Arthur. Have you seen Ben? No, mate, I ain't seen Ben. What's up? He said, well, he ain't come home for 2 days. I said, look, don't know nothing about that. I said, no, he ain't around here. He said, well, Jim, you seen Jim? I said, I ain't seen Jim for a couple of weeks, yeah. Jim's doing his own thing, isn't he? He's in Northampton. And then all of a sudden, mate, I'm going through Richmond Park with Jimmy Ward, and we're going through the park, and we notice that there's somebody on the side of the road. And who is it? It's Ben the Germany. But when we get there and look at him, he looks like he's been hit by a car or a lorry or something, yeah. But this is quite late in the evening, so certain parts of the gates is open. So fucking hell, man. So I went, we better take him to hospital, mate. You can't leave him like this. So I took him to Kingston Hospital. But when I rushed in there, and I got a bed, come out, put him on it, and rushed back in the trolley, rushed back in, just left him there. I said, look, I found him at Richmond Park, mate, smashed to pieces. Listen, I think there's something dodgy there with Jimmy Ward, mate, and what he done. I think he's done that to Ben. I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't like to say really, but it seems funny that that we drove through the park at that particular time. No one's seen Ben for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden there's Ben on the floor. So I take him up, put him in the hospital, yeah, and of course I phoned Arthur come down with his daughter. His daughter is hysterical. She is hysterical. She's in a bad way, mate. That to sedate her, she was in a terrible state. Arthur's gone mad at Jimmy Ward. Arthur's, come without his two special forces guys. But you can see Arthur's pissed off, mate. Arthur's not an idiot, you know what I mean? He knows something ain't right. But he's been hit by a gate, and all of a sudden we come through, hit by a car. All of a sudden we come through, and that's what, you know. And Jimmy was going, it's Ben. It was all too much, you know. And as I say, when he went to the hospital, he was brain dead, mate. He was brain dead, honestly. He just it took ages to come out of the coma. When he did come out of the coma, he didn't know what was going on, didn't know where he was, what he was or whatever, didn't know no one. Arthur, his daughter, took Ben with them back to his house there in Epsom to look after Ben. You know, I mean, come on, the daughter loved him so much, yeah, and she looked after him. But I went up there a couple of times with Jim. And every time he looked at Jim with funny eyes, but he couldn't talk. He just could not talk, you know. He didn't say anything, you know what I mean? But fucking hell, man. I looked at Jimmy Ward and I thought to myself, yeah, you're a sly fucker, you know what I mean? I looked at Ben and I don't know if Ben died or what, you know. Because shortly after that, I get nicked for something. Anyway, but before that, Jimmy Ward, I mean, can see, because I've had a lot of aggravation with Jimmy Ward with his people, set my dogs on his people. Anyway, Jimmy Ward now knows that something's not right. Something's going to come on top for him, yeah. And crazy. I never even knew. All I know is that I drove with Arthur Suttie to see Jimmy Ward in Northampton and to talk with Jim about what's going on. Arthur's going mad. Arthur's all the way there. I mean, Arthur knew Joe Pyle. Whether or not, I don't know what Joe Pyle was ill at that time, I'm not quite sure, yeah. This is, 95, 94. I don't know if Joe Pyle was ill at that time or what, yeah. But Arthur Suttie was still a powerhouse, yeah. And we drove to Northampton where Jimmy lived to see Jim. Arthur was shouting with Jimmy Ward, mate. He was going mad. It's just me with Arthur. There wasn't his two special forces guys, yeah. So we went, and then me and Arthur was talking in his house, and Arthur's really, really upset. I mean, he's so upset, Arthur, and he's so dangerous. He's a dangerous old boy, yeah, who knows people like, you know, proper people, mate. He knows proper people, you know, and all of a sudden I went, what do you want me to do, Arthur? You know what I mean? He went, no, I've got my own people. I don't want nothing done. No, let me think about this and let me think about that. I knew that something was not right between Jim and Ben. I knew that, you know. I knew that the way Ben was talking to me about Jim and this, that and the other, and money was coming in. Anyway, so I went, oh, I don't need this. So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I said, I've got a few problems with Jim, you know, over my house and bits and pieces. I paid Jimmy a lot of money and now he wants more money and I ain't going to give it him. So I'm going to go up and see him myself in Northampton and have a fucking pop at him, yeah, and know what's going on, because this ain't right. This ain't fucking right, you know, what's going on. Ben's in the wheelchair, he's like a cabbage, and Jimmy Wall's just running around like a lunatic, and he's had a fight with Ben. It's all crazy, yeah. There's something not right, yeah. So I goes all right to Northampton to see Jimmy Ward. Goes up there, goes in. Jimmy Ward's got a big swimming pool at the back of his house. He's doing some game show. There was some game show that he was doing. He was involved with the transport and all that. So he had all the game show in a big yard at the back, a massive game. He had a lot of money, Jim. Goes in the house, something to eat, and there's these three guys, right, sitting there. These three guys are sitting there that I don't really know. Two are brothers, yeah? Two are brothers. And I'm sitting there with them and I'm packed, I've got something there, yeah. I'm going up Jimmy Walls and I'm holding something in my, I ain't gonna be an idiot. I'm holding something just in case it kicks off and I want something there myself, yeah. So all of a sudden, Jimmy comes over to me, he's put a drink on the table and, you know, I didn't want to drink it. I said, no, I'm all right, sweet. I didn't want to fucking drink it. You know, I thought it ain't right, things ain't right anyway. And one of the guys got up. The guy there sitting to me to the right got up, opposite, yeah, right at the very end, to the right, got up. And as he got up, a gun fell on the floor. A gun fell on the floor. Straight away, I pulled my thing out and I went, fucking mad. You know, sit down, kick down I picked the gun up, kicked the gun away and run out of the house. And sort of Jimmy come over, get out! And I thought, it's on top for me, yeah? They're trying to fucking kill me. They was going to kill me. I don't know why they wasted their time, why they took such a long time to do it, and why the gun went on the floor, I have no idea. But I jumped on my motor. My daddy gave me a BMW convertible. I never even opened the door, mate. I just jumped over the top, got in, drove away, yeah? And then when I got home, I phoned Jimmy up on the house number. Didn't really have my mobile phone, but it wasn't that. Anyway, I phoned Jimmy all up and I said, Jimmy, I went, mate, let me tell you something. I didn't like that. It looked as if he was going to fucking hit me, mate. I said, I'll tell you what, do sort of favour, don't come nowhere near my house. Do you know what I mean? But before, I'd had a party. We had a party anyway. Let's forget about all that. And I said to Jim, and then things went slow. Jimmy come over the house. I wasn't really talking to him. Danny, she had to, because Jimmy Ward's wife was a girl called Jackie Stanton. It was Jackie Ward, but her name was Jackie Stanton. She married a guy called Alan Stanton, who I was in prison with. So I know Alan very well. He died of a thing called parrot disease, yeah, but he was involved with Johnny Bindon in his club. And Jimmy Ward got stabbed Johnny Bindon. It's a big, big turnout, you know. This goes a big story, yeah. And all of a, I mean, then it goes on in my life, yeah. But anyway, I'll tell you right at the very end of what happened, yeah. So Jimmy ain't coming around to see me much. Arthur Suttie's going mad. He's big suspects Jimmy Ward of doing this to his son-in-law as such, yeah. Arthur Suttie, he's going to me, Ray, I want him dead, mate. He's got to go. I said, look, I went up the house and they tried to fucking, look as if they was going to chop me, you know what I mean? They was going to hit me in his gaff. He said, I had something anyway and I pulled it out. And it wasn't for the fact that I had that and pulled it out. I think I'd have got it, yeah? I said, but, you know, Jimmy's gone off his nut, mate. He must be on coke or something. He ain't right, mate. So after saying to me, look, I've got my people and they want to just go up there and take him out, mate. But something happened. It's mad. Something happened and Arthur phoned me about, 4 or 5 days later, told me to go around and see him. I said, oh, what's that, mate? He said, I'm not happy, Ray. I said, why? He said, well, my two guys that I had with me, these special force guys, they've gone missing. I don't know where they are, they're just gone. No one knows where they are, they've just gone missing. I said, what do you mean gone missing? He said, well, they must have gone back to Wales or something. He said, no, I've been phoning their homes and their wives, their girlfriends, they haven't seen them, they haven't heard nothing, they've just gone missing, mate. And I fancy that even if they were who they were, that they got chopped. You know, that Jimmy Wall stopped them, or somehow, yeah? Because they'd just gone missing, just gone. And anyway, in the end, no one knew what was going on. And Arthur had a big swimming pool outside, and it was filthy. When I say it was filthy, it was like animals in there, foxes had died, and the pool was just being neglected. And he sat there. He had another pool, but this one was anyway. So he had it cleaned, Arthur, and they found 2 things at the bottom of the pool. They believed that they were 2 bodies. Now, I said, Arthur, don't be stupid, mate. How would they do it? Whatever. But I believe there was maybe sheep or something that had just died in the bottom of the pool. But Arthur in his mind that it was these 2 people being eaten away by all the shit in it. I don't know, you know, Arthur was he'd gone a bit funny, Arthur. So anyway, I believe, yeah, Arthur, yeah. So, but, you know, you think, oh, yeah, whatever. But the guys just went missing, completely missing. Anyway, I had murders with Jim. I had murders with Danny, my girlfriend. Me and Arthur was good pals. Arthur, I would go to dinner with Arthur. He'd always talk about Joe Pyle. He loved Joe Pyle. He loved Roy Shaw. He was a proper man, Arthur Suttie. I loved him, mate, like a brother, really, rather than like a dad. He's, you know, because he could have been my dad, yeah, but Arthur, I really liked Arthur a lot, you know, good money getter, you know, come on, you've got a gaff, I don't know, today I suppose it's worth for 100 mil, you couldn't buy that next to Epsom Racecourse. It's right on the back of it, it's worth fortunes, you know what I mean, massive gaff. I should imagine they would build 10 houses on, no, not 10 houses, that's a bit much, maybe 5 big houses on there, with big grounds, yeah. You can imagine what it's worth in this gaff, yeah. But me and Arthur just separated. Me and Danny separated. I got bad on the coke, on the crack, and so much happened to me in my life. I never see Arthur again. Jimmy Ward, I never really see him again. And when I come out of this IPP, yeah? I come out of this IPP. My son is in Australia. My Danny, I've not seen my Danny for years and years. When I went away, my son was about 5. My daughter, Ruby Ray, she was a baby. I've not seen them. I've not seen any of them, you know. My Danny just left went AWOL, yeah. And I was on my phone. Spoke to my son in Australia, and my son sent me something, yeah. And he sent me some paperwork because Jimmy Ward got done for chopping a policeman's head off in a car park with some other people, and his two brothers. Jimmy Ward became a supergrass, grassed him up. Jimmy Ward got a big sentence and grassed him up for something. No, Jimmy Ward got nicked on a thing, on something else. Then Jimmy Ward grassed his two up and they got a life. Jimmy Ward got some silly sentence and got looked after. But my son sent me something from a deposition that these two brothers were going to kill me for 25 grand. It's all on a thing on one of my phones, I think. On one of my that these two brothers, Jimmy Ward, give them 25 grand to come and hit me. How about that? That's mad. And I must have just got my IPP before this happened. Before they were looking for me to top me or whatever because I moved away. Yeah. How about that? I can't believe it. When I see that paperwork saying that they wanted to top me, fucking hell, mate. I went, fuck's sake. Come on. Imagine you're sitting in my place in Harrow, yeah, and that come on my phone. I was talking to my son. He said, Dad, you better look at this. And it must have been my ex-wife, my ex-girlfriend, Danny, that sent it to my son to show me that Jimmy Ward paid these guys 25 grand to come and hit me. And yet Jimmy Ward grassed him up before they come to hit me, before it comes to that stage where they come to hit me. Yeah, for when they chopped it was either police officers or someone chopped his head right off in the car park. So these two brothers were quite capable of willing to do whatever they was going to do, yeah? How about that? Anyway, I'm going to go to the gym. This is Bang Bang Rail. Please press the like button and subscribe, and good morning. Yeah, nice one.